Hello, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Come on in, come on in. We have a great discussion tonight that I want to have with you all. I hope everyone has had a fabulous day and happy holidays to everyone. I know everyone's busy getting ready for your holiday Christmas season. And let me start off by my introduction. So, I am Atanya Jean Funny, your audacious advocate and candidate for Commissioner District 3. And I use my love of learning and passion for community engagement to empower families. Now, y'all see, I'm still there. I'm still there. Notice the scarf. Yes, yes, these are rattlers on the scarf. And I got to continue to celebrate. Woo woo. Got to celebrate a little bit more because I am one happy alum. Don't know when I'll get off of this high, maybe when the season starts again. So just, bear with me. So, yes, yes, our Rattlers won what we consider to be the HBCU National Championship. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. So yeah, and we showed out this weekend. We did paint Atlanta orange and green. I know you all know. So we have this saying that we brag different. And for those of you that did not attend fam, I hope it's okay to say this, but for those of you that did not attend fam, you may think that we're being arrogant when we say we brag different. But Bragg is actually the name of one of our coaches back in the 1930s and 40s, Bragg with two G's. And it's the name of it's Bragg Memorial Stadium before it became Ken Riley. So yeah, so that's why we have that play on words. So we're not really being arrogant when we say that. We're actually honoring one of our late coaches, but maybe we are being a little arrogant. I don't know. But anyway, had a fabulous time meeting with some friends and classmates that I haven't seen in a lot of years. And one of the things that I did this past weekend is attend the scholars reception. And it really got me to thinking, are we really preparing our students for college? Okay. So now I know everyone is not planning on going to college, but I wanted us to just look at that for the parents of students that are planning to go, or even some parents that may say I want to go back to school, or I want to go to school. And let me tell you a little bit about fam. So what we know, because when people run into rattlers, they think that we are a little fanatic. Mm. But I want you all to know that that experience was not only academic, but FAMU really did prepare us for life. Okay. It wasn't all feel good, touchy. Some of it was like we have mentors for life. Our professors, my professor that I could literally call any day, anytime, um, years later, um, advisors, things like that. So we do have that connection. I have friends that I've had since freshman year. Literally, the first day I set foot on FAMU's campus, I still have friends from that very first day, freshman year. But there was some things that FAMU taught us. One, write down the name of every person you speak to about something. This is what I mean. You go to the financial aid department and you speak to such and such such, and they say your check. Go back up there and don't know the name of the person that told you that your check was going to be ready. You learn that early on. So later on in life, when you sit down and have that meeting with your boss, you know to go back to your office and write that email per our conversation XYZ happened. You know to get that documentation. You're getting ready to graduate, and your dean of school said, yes, you could take that course to replace this course because it wasn't being offered. Then you get a new dean and it's time for you to graduate. And you say, the dean told me that I could use this course to replace that. Where's your documentation? So you knew to get a letter from your dean saying, yes, this course will replace this course. You get into the real world, you know, I have this conversation. Hey, Siobhan, I have this conversation. You know, let me get this conversation in writing to confirm that this is what happened. This is the things that college teach you, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you how you did in a particular class, the academic portion of it. It Why, thank you, Miss Sherry. Yes, my Rattler scarf. I appreciate it. So I'm just saying, like, these are some of the things about college and being prepared that goes outside of just the academics, of just the degree. So when we say we brag different, because we made it out, okay? Because there's a lot of students, there's a lot of people that will say, I attended, and that's great. But when you can say you graduated, that's what we want to hear, that you graduated, that you saw something from the beginning and you carried it all the way to the end. All right. And this is my concern right now with a lot of our students that say they want to go to college. Yes, they say it, but are we really preparing them to go to college? Okay. Are we preparing them? Now, one thing that I'm going to say, and like it or not, I'm going to just go ahead and tell you all, your students, y'all sending the cell phones to school, or they on that cell phone in class. They watching TikTok. They playing video games. They playing Madden. If they are on that phone, they are not listening to their teacher. Promise. Okay? They're not. So I don't know, we as parents, is there something we can do with those phones to shut down those things during the school days, that the only thing they have access to is to call you in case of emergency? Because I know every single parent send their child to school with a cell phone in case of emergency. But that is not what's happening. And it is affecting how our students are doing. You're not paying attention to the teacher. So I spoke to one young lady, and actually it was her classmates that said it, because they asked her, they said, did you look at how many hours you had on your cell phone? This young lady said on any given day, she has about 14, 15 hours clocked on her cell phone. Well, if you're in school for 8 during the school day, she saw nothing wrong. Even her classmates was like, that's a lot of hours for you to be on a cell phone. She was like, what's wrong with that? So literally from the moment she woke up, she was on that cell phone and she didn't see anything wrong with it. I'm telling you, that's a problem. Okay. So this is another conversation we're going to have of how we can limit what they're doing, because you all have seen the videos. There have been outright fights because of cell phones. If a teacher tries to tell a student to put their cell phone away or bring it here, or disruption. So we want to think about that. And another thing that I noticed, for a period of time, I lived in New York, and I was in New York for 9/11. So after everything happened, we noticed that a lot of families were affected by 9/11. They lost a lot of members of their family, right? And they lost a lot of members because, say, like the fire department, the grandfather the son, grandson may have all been firefighters. So families was losing 2 and 3 members of their family because they were all firefighters. Okay, they were all part of emergency staff, and it got me to thinking, like, why so many families were affected at one time because of the terrorist attack. One of the things that happened that I noticed is that the test to become a firefighter is a pretty difficult one. But when one person in the family has and to live in that culture, they are able to assist other members of the family. Okay. Being a firefighter in New York was like is a very good profession. Out, it's dangerous, of course, but the benefits, if you survive, is really, really good. They work to age 50, 55, 25 years. They retire with full benefits and still got a whole second half of their life to live. So a lot of the family members get into that profession, but each generation knows how to prepare the other generation to pass the test and get in that profession. I think some of the things that's happening with our educational system is that we have families that are college graduates. So they're preparing their children to be college graduates. But in my community, we have a lot of students that we still have first generation college attendees. And families may not know what exactly they need for their child to be successful in school. So you're depending on our school system and our state system to let you know what you need. I looked at a few graduation requirements for a few states, right? One, Georgia. I also looked at Florida, and I looked at New York because those are the 3 states that I've lived in. And so what I've noticed, and if we have any counselors on there, if I say anything misstep, please put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. So what I'm noticing is that what Georgia is showing you for high school graduation is the bare minimum. Okay. It's the bare minimum you need to graduate high school. It's not what you need to enter into college. Let me tell you, I went to that reception for our college graduates, and not only not only did was the GPA over a 4.0 for these scholars, over a 4.0, but they were looking at SAT scores that was over 1300. Okay. They were looking at another test that you have to take, and it's called, I wrote it down, the ALEX. Is out by McGraw-Hill. These colleges know that the requirements for high school varies so much that they have an entrance exam, a math entrance exam that students have to take if you're planning on going into STEM, you're going into the sciences, you're going into engineering, architecture, any of those things. You have to make a minimum score on this ALEX test to even be accepted into these programs. This is beyond what our high schools are telling our students. So we as parents have got to know these information because the counselors are overwhelmed. So many kids, so many. I know I have a friend that it took her almost a month to get an appointment with her child's counselor when it was time for her to go to school. Okay, go to college. So we have got to know that what I tell my kids, the ones that's in my house with me, I'm not really looking at your grade in a particular class because I know your teacher has to pad that grade, right? Because she got to answer to, or he has to answer to the principal got to answer to district officials, superintendent got to answer to the school board. Parents, please understand that class grade is padded. Okay. I tell my children at home, I'm looking at those test scores. I'm looking at what did you make on your final exam? Okay? That tells me whether or not you actually know the material. So, I'm just throwing it out there. We want to say, "Oh, my child doesn't test well." I don't know any profession that your child is going to go in, they don't have to take a test. Okay? Just don't know it. So, we can't use the excuse, "Oh, my child doesn't test well." We have to find out what is the deficiency and let's work on it. For those of you that don't know, my son had a reading deficiency, reading and comprehension. We've picked it up in the second grade. And we put him in a program. We put him in Kumon. Now, let me tell you, when you're raising kids in this academics, it's not about just dropping them off to a place and going about your business. No, Kumon only meets with them twice a week. They give you stuff for 7 days. Guess who is doing the work for the other 5 days with your child? You are. You are. You sitting at a table with them as they go through these booklets. Tears are flowing. Yes, it is. Tears are flowing, maybe by the parent and the child. We both wipe our faces and keep moving. So I'm just saying that it is the responsibility of the parent to work with the school system so your child will be on the level that it's supposed to be. I'm saying that the requirements for high school, I am saying it, let's put it on the record. The requirements for high school is the bare minimum to get out of high school. It is not going to get your child into college, not the bare minimum. For Georgia, I didn't even see foreign language as a requirement anymore to graduate from high school. But guess what? Foreign language is a requirement for college. Now, one of the things y'all talk about Florida, okay? Y'all talk about my home state all the time. But let me tell you, I went on the site for Florida requirements, and Florida tells you they give you, let me see what they call it. So you have a standard diploma. Florida has a standard diploma, okay, which I would call the bare minimum. But Florida also has what they call the state university system diploma. Okay, so they have all the requirements if you are planning to get into college. They separate it. All right. They have a scholar diploma designation. All right. So parents have more of a guide of what your child will need if they are trying to get into a university. So I just want to make our parents aware what is really going on. So when a school says, "Oh, we had a 90% graduation rate," great. But out of that 90% graduation rate, how many of those students that want to go to college are prepared to go to college? Okay. We have to look at that. Kiambi, I don't know why foreign language is not a requirement for graduation, but it's not. It's been taken off a long time ago. And then let's look at what we call state exams. Georgia calls it, well, thank you, Freddie. Georgia calls it what we say the EOC. New York calls it the Regents exam. Now, let me just tell you the difference. For Florida's, okay, Florida says your end of course exams, you must, it is 30% of your final grade. Georgia, it is 20% of your final grade. Okay. New York, let me tell you about New York. In New York, if they have a cutoff score of a 65, if you don't make the bare minimum of at least a 65 on that state exam, You must take that whole course over. It does not matter what your grade is. Now, they did take that rule out during COVID, but I hear that it's coming back. Okay, so when I taught in New York, you had to make a cutoff score of 65. Anything less than a 65, if you made a 64 on that state exam, you had to take that whole course over. All right. Now, what that did, it really motivated the students to pay a little bit more attention. It motivated the students to go to tutoring sessions. Okay. It motivated the students like, I got to graduate, so I got to get credit for this course. I don't know if, maybe if that's causing a lack of motivation for, say, the state of Georgia, because it's only 20% of the grade. And I guess you can fail that and still, depending on what your grade is in the class. And remember, I told you those class grades are very much padded. So you can fail your test and still pass the course. And so my personal experience is that a lot of our students aren't putting in that extra effort to really do well on these tests because they can still pass the course. So this is a conversation that we need to have with our community about what are we really doing? What do we want our kids to do? All right. And so we got to look at student debt, because if a student does get into college and their GPA is not in the higher echelon to get a scholarship and they're having to pay, then if they're taking out student loans and they don't get the degree, they still have to pay those student loans back. So now you're having a lot of debt with no degree, which means that your salary is not where it really needs to be, okay, to pay back those student loans. So you're incurring debt, but you don't have the degree. So you got to think about student debt. And another thing that we need to think about is sports. My youngest brother was able to go on a full ride on a football scholarship, and that is great. Mom didn't have to incur the expense of his degree. But there's a lot of people that are trying to go football route. They're trying to go basketball route. So if you all saw my video earlier today, my kids are in tennis. I'm hoping that that gives them a little advantage. Even though a lot of the tennis players in the college level are coming from other countries, I'm hoping that that will give them a little advantage. I have one of my girlfriends, both of her girls went to college on a bowling scholarship. Bowling, y'all, bowling. So we have to look at other ways that we're going to pay for college outside of, academic scholarships. That's great. But the students have to go to college, they have to be focused, and they got to get out in 4 years, because anything less than 4 years, the universities are penalized. So I know for Florida A&M, we have in our rate of acceptance is around 33%. I don't think it's over 35. So we have 1,600 freshman seats. They've already gotten 15,000 applications for 1,600 seats. So it's getting tougher to get in. So you got to look at other ways too. And some of these sports that we don't think about, like bowling, like golf, like tennis, may be a way to get our students in, and they may have to, go away to get that. Yeah, Kiambi, that's why I wanted to have this discussion, because, we don't want to set up our kids to fail. And I want to make sure that the parents know that, we're going to have to pay back these loans. Tanisha said, according to GA Futures, Career Technical and Agricultural Education, CTAE, and Modern Language, the 3 credits are required. It is required when my child graduated in 2017 and 2020. Yeah. Um, 3 credits, but you can pick from those. It doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. You can pick from them. So, I don't know. We're gonna see what's going on. 3 credits are required. But CTAE has some certifications too for and the way I would use CTAE, those classes, we you can use that skill that you learned from your CTAE to, maybe get a part-time job while you're in college to help with some of that debt. These are things that we have got to talk about. And some of y'all like, you're running for commissioner. Why are you talking about education? I know you were once a teacher, but you're running for commissioner. Here is the situation in our county workforce. Okay. So all of this has to work together. Companies will come into communities where there is skilled workers for that particular industry. So if we want technology industries to come into our area, if we want some of these Fortune 500 companies to come into our area, we need to have a skilled workforce for them. So it goes back into education. My community, they want fine dining, they want beautification, they want economic development in the area. But we have to look at what is the rate of graduation in our area? What is the rate of college graduates in our area? These are the types of things that they're looking for. Because if a company comes into your area and they have to import the workers for their particular company, community outside of some tax dollars from that company, but in our case we give a lot of incentives for the companies to come, so they're getting tax breaks, but we got to have the skilled labor. I have said continuously that for our community to go where it needs to go, we have to have the education along with everything else. So that goes back to preparing our students, and that goes back to preparing our families, preparing our parents. Parents, let's look at these cell phones and the damage that it is really doing with our students. We got to somehow cut them to the point where it's emergency only. I have witnessed with my own eyes, teachers they are absolutely not going to go back and forth with your child about please get off the phone. They're just not going to do it. And the addiction of the cell phones is real. It is so real, you will not believe it. So while we want our kids to have the cell phones for in case of emergencies, you've got to find a way to shut down the TikTok, shut down YouTube, shut down video games, and make it emergency only. I got a principal on right now. Lynn, she's agreeing. I got a teacher on right now, Miss Hartley. She is agreeing. Amen. Like, y'all cannot continue to just blame the school system. And then here is the thing, check your child's usage. You can literally check their usage. If you see that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they are on the phone for 15 hours, please know that 8 of those hours they were at school, they were on the phone. What they learning? They're not learning anything but the latest challenge. Okay. So this thing is serious. Somebody getting this education, and if it's not our kids, then they're going to always be working for someone else. They're always going to, they're not going to get the type of jobs that take them to the next level. So we can't have a little thing like this dictating the life of our family and our future generation. We just can't do it. So we were gonna have to figure out some kind of way. I don't know what programs are out there, because I have the flexibility to just tell my kids they're not getting the phone. Um, and so we really try to monitor how much time they're on their phones, and they mainly get them on the weekends. Um, that's just the structure that we have. So um we need to start there. We need to start there. And at least if they're looking up at the teacher during the school day, a little more may be absorbed. We need to look at test scores, okay? Assessments. Pull that assessment away from all the other stuff that's going on. I've had parents to get upset because every single paper that the teacher asked the student to do wasn't graded. For high school and middle school teachers that have hundreds of kids, they're going to give something that helps to give them extra practice to go over something in class. It's impossible for them to grade every single assignment, but they're giving them things that are going to help with the subject matter. But look at that final exam. Okay, so we're at the end of the semester. For us, we're already on Christmas break. There's some grades in the grade book right now. Look at that final exam. That's going to tell you, because for most schools, the final exam is comprehensive, and it is a standard exam that all teachers give the same exam. Okay, if for high school. So look at that final exam. Sometimes it came from the district office. The teacher didn't even make it. So that's going to give you a really good indication outside of the final grade what your child know and what they don't know. Okay. So these are little things that I do, and my kids know it. And then we got to prepare them to get ready for test taking. So if your child don't know how to take a test, then we got to put them in programs that practice test taking. I've always liked the AVID program. I think it did really good to help students. And Kumon and these types of programs, they are a little pricey, but these high school girls got these nails. Look how much those nails cost. Look, they wearing designer pair of Jordans. I think a pair of Jordans might be able to get you 2 months worth of Kumon. I'm just saying, a pair of Jordans or 2 months worth of Kumon. Pick. I don't know how much a Gucci belt costs. I ain't got one, but I see some kids around here with one. So there's some things that we are doing with our money that there's a possibility that we may be able to squeeze out of our budget to get our kids in programs that will help them to get ready. So it's a serious conversation that you need to have with your child, with your community, with your church. I mean, just we need to have that conversation, because the requirements to get into these schools, the requirements to get into FAMU now, we ain't playing with nobody. We not playing with you. And you could go to the community college, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the experience is not going to be the same as going into a 4-year university as a freshman. It's different. Um, which I told you, it's part of life. The experience is life as well as academics. Then you put it all together. But I think if we are honest with ourselves, honest with our kids, I mean, I've just met too many students along the way. Of course, FAMU grads, we are fanatical. We will wear some orange and green at any time, any day, anywhere. And when I see my students in the street and they say, "Oh, I want to go to that school," and I ask them a couple questions, "What do you want to major in? How are your grades looking?" I mean, I know right off the bat that they're not prepared for what FAMU and other universities is going to. So I think we need to start having this conversation in middle school, I think by the time we get into the upper levels of high school, it's too late. If I should not meet a sophomore that hasn't already taken the PSAT, you know. I shouldn't meet a junior that hasn't taken the SAT yet. Like these are things that, and then we can practice. I know that for my county, the students don't even have to pay for the test anymore. I know our library system has practice SAT, ACT exams that parents can check out, take home, have their kids to practice it. Okay. Another thing that I'm doing in my house is my kids got to read outside of whatever assignment they have at school. They have books they have to read. And I'm so wound really tight. I'm making them read the classics, and then I go online and pull questions off and give it to them, ask them. Yes, I do. Because I'm supplementing what I think they need. And one of the things that we're going to start, they don't know yet. They don't know yet, so don't tell them. But we about to start these index cards with ACT, SAT prep words. A word a day. You got to give me a definition. You got to put it in a sentence. You got to do me an illustration. I got index cards, so they're gonna start that. Okay, don't tell them yet. But to get them ready to use these words that we don't use in everyday language, but that they're going to be responsible for. Just little things like one index card a day. What is that too much to ask? One index card a day. But yeah, so thank you all for indulging me, and we can have some more conversations about this. I appreciate you all coming on, but we have got to question high school graduation rates versus readiness for college. Okay, readiness for college, high school graduation rates. I don't know, guys. So let's dissect a little more. Tanisha, we're gonna have a conversation to see where everything is, but I don't think they're the same. I don't think they're the same. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, good stuff. You did that with your older kids. Yeah, exactly. They did well on the SAT. Yeah, we're gonna and then this math. And also I need everybody to research ALEX, ALEKS from McGraw-Hill, because it seems as though they have some things on there that even as a parent, you may be able to download. They have some programs that you may have to pay for. I'm going to definitely look into those. They have some apps and manipulations that you can do to get our kids thinking. So if they want to be on an iPad, maybe they'll be able to do that. But we have to have this tough conversation about are we really, really getting our kids ready for college? Because there's some out there, they ready, but is yours ready? Is mine ready? All right. So that's what I wanted to talk about today as I continue to celebrate FAMU's victory this past weekend, and just let everybody know that I am here to have these tough conversations, to get our kids ready, to get our families ready, because I know as we educate our community, that just brings our whole community to another level. And that's what we're trying to do here. All right. So, workforce, education, they go hand in hand. All right. So I hope you all have an absolutely fabulous evening. And again, I am Atanya Jean Funny, your audacious advocate and candidate for Commissioner District 3. And I would love for you to join me on my community conversations. Okay. Thanks, Lynn. So needed. I'm gonna have you come on and talk about your experience as a principal, because let them know that I'm telling the truth here. um And join me on Aging Funny Community Conversations. And also, guys, I'm running a campaign. Campaigns are expensive. So, look, if you have something that you would like to contribute, if you're local and you have time, I would love it. But listen, I got a lot of my Lake City people on. Hey, I could really use a donation. All right, whatever you have to give will really help my campaign because we have a lot of things that we got to start doing. Tell a friend, share. So I am going to put my link for financial donations in the chat, and I would really appreciate you all's help. Because I am here for the community. I need the community to be here for me. All right. You all have a fabulous, fabulous evening, and I will see you next time. Good night.